Morning guys, today I'm just here to do a piercing update vlog. I've had a couple of huge adjustments. Obviously recently I got those two new piercings. One of them has given me a little bit of trouble. I had to increase the length of the bar on it because it was quite tight and the swelling was trying to go over the back of the post. I always find it a little bit fun when I get so used to stretching piercings. I don't really get pierced very often anymore, so I don't really deal with like normal piercing problems. And I always find it kind of funny when I have like little problems like that, or like problems that I would think were a little beneath my capabilities, but we are all human. So yeah, things go wrong when you get new piercings sometimes. You'll need to do a jewelry change if you've got a lot of swelling or whatever. Now, fortunately, I'm capable enough to do that myself, where most people might have to go see a piercer to get a longer bar put in. I was able to get the shorter bar out and get a new one in. Anyway, I won't talk too much about that. I have been talking a while now about my left helix piercing and how I'm stretching it to a 25 millimeter. And I believe now I'm finally finished with this. I don't really want to try and go farther. I know I kind of said that at 23 millimeter almost a year ago was the last time I stretched it. But I did buy a 24 millimeter piece 6 months ago, and the way it was made was just, it was super bulky. And it weighed my ear down quite a bit and kind of pulled it over to the side a lot more like that. And I really wasn't a fan of it. So I decided that if I was going to do one more size with my left helix, I wanted to get it to a conventional piercing size. So that, in saying that, most piercings are made in not millimeter gauges. They're like 3/4 or 5/8 or an inch, like those sorts of increments. So I wanted to get to an inch roughly, because there's a lot more jewelry made for that than there is for, say, 24 millimeter. So when I went to stretch this, I already had a 24 millimeter that I had in there, and it never really went down so much in size, even though I was wearing a 23. So when I went to stretch it to a 25, it was a really, really easy push, but just the obvious things that always happen are swelling. So for example, swelling when you get to this size of a helix, it swells up this whole ridge here. And it's put a lot of pressure on my my top helix piercing up here, and continues to kind of pressure this whole area, just having this piece pushing up on it. And it has caused some migration in it. And I don't think it's to the point where it's like gonna tear out, but I do think it's the point where I don't really like the way it looks when it's always like, because a lot of times it'll push the jewelry up. So I'm thinking, because I want to keep this size of my left helix this big, I am gonna probably take this out and maybe get one pre-pierced a little farther over instead. And it's not really a big loss for me, because like, yeah, this is a 6 gauge. The other one is a 4. But they're fairly small for me. Like, that's not a huge commitment. Like, that's, you know, a couple of stretches. Nothing super huge. So I don't know if I'll really miss that too much, having that one there. I do like the way it looks. It looks a little too flat for me when I take it out. So I think I'll just get another piercing farther over. Just somewhere that isn't interacting with anything, and where this one is so close to the helix, it's just, again, putting pressure on it. So yeah, this hurt quite a bit to stretch the last time when I went to 23, but it didn't hurt much this time. I think I had a lot of time in between sizes, so but there was quite a bit of swelling. And again, this is, I think, the second or third time I've had this piece in since I've had it, because the swelling just gets so immense that you just go back down to something that's more comfortable to sleep in, and then you put it back in, and hopefully your body will kind of be more willing to accept it. You know, that may sound crazy to people because taking out piercings and downsizing and all that typically is frowned upon a little bit. But when you're in the extremes and the unknowns here, it's not like I have anyone to compare with or like ask tips for easier ways to stretch your 25 millimeter helix piercing, right? So I'm kind of having to come up with my own answers and find my own way. So yeah, it's pretty cool. I can stick my thumb through it now. It's my humble brag. I can go pretty far too, but I don't really want to risk it's still not completely happy with me. So once it is, I'll be able to do all kinds of thumb through the hole kind of stuff like that. I've been able to do my finger for quite a while, but now I guess I can go a lot farther. So you can probably expect that there'll be some funny piercing shenanigans like I do with my septum and all that with my ear once it's fully happy with me. Like I said, it's still a little raw, a little tender. The other one is, I guess I should get to this. I'm already 6 minutes in. I finally got a huge tunnel in my 18 millimeter conch just the other week. But I only had that in for a little while before, again, I decided, since it's been at 18 millimeters since October now, I decided I would try and get a 19 millimeter in there. So it's just 1 more millimeter increment. And the reason why I did that again is because 18 millimeter is one of those in-between sizes where a 19 millimeter, see I can get my finger through there now. Another little humble brag. 19 millimeter again is one of your standard piercing sizes. So there's a lot more jewelry made and I can get longer jewelry for that tunnel a little easier. I did get some custom-made stuff from Stone Wolf for my conches and for stretching my conches, but they're not super comfortable to wear all the time, and they are long enough. They're made specifically longer for my conches, but they're thick. They're thick tunnels. They're more of a, how do I want to say this? They have thick walls, so the hole looks smaller, a lot smaller than these when I'm wearing them, which obviously I don't like aesthetically, but that's not the main reason why I switched those out as soon as I can, is because the thickness and the whatever the material that, I think it's PTFE or Delrin or something, I can't quite remember right now. Whatever material it is makes my ears sweat a lot more, so it's just not really comfortable for long-term use, but it is, I find it is the best to heal with and stretch up with. But once you get them healed, it's nice to switch into something that's a little lighter weight and a little thinner. Again, there are very few people that I know of that have conches that are anywhere near this size, and they all have their own problems. So I've never met anyone who has a super, super comfortable answer yet. I'm probably just going to keep experimenting with new things. And where this is a 19 millimeter now, I don't really think I need to go any bigger with it. And I don't really think that there's much surface area to go much bigger with it. So, again, you may see me wearing the 18 millimeter piece again in this, the one that I had custom built at various points in the future on podcasts or Remy Reacts or whatever I do, maybe even other vlogs. But these things never go the first time, it seems like. When you're in these huge extreme sizes like this, sometimes the swelling gets so much and you almost have to retreat back down to something comfortable for a little while and something that's not stressing the hole out. And I know I keep bugging with my bridge piercing. It migrated to a point many years ago, and it's at that point where the bar is always sitting a little lopsided and it's just annoying. And real recently I've been thinking about taking this out, but I don't know if I want to deal with the scar tissue of it, because bridge piercings leave pretty ugly scars. Anyway, yeah, I won't get too much into that. I brought that up on other videos because some people will say they think my bridge piercing is rejecting or about to fall out, and you can watch my earliest YouTube video and see that it was giving me the same problems then. So it's the way it is. Yeah, so there's quickly my huge 25 millimeter left helix piercing. And then my 19 millimeter right conch. And those are my two new proudest achievements. And don't be too surprised if in another video I talk about how I had to go back down a size, but I'll go back up a size. And if you've ever watched Dragonheart's YouTube, he's another really, really interesting character. He has I believe a 28 millimeter septum. He had to do similar with his septum, where he was up and he was down, he was up, he's down. I think it ended up happening that way with his conches too. When you get into these extremes, expect for it to be more of a marathon than a sprint. You're not probably going to get there all at once. It may take some stopping and starting, but if you're determined, eventually your body will kind of let it go. But I am at the point now where to go much farther into some things is just, it's going to affect my quality of life to a point I'm not okay with. And already it's getting a little hard to sleep on my sides, and just to be honest, and I am a side sleeper, so I don't really think I'm going any farther with any of these. The only thing that I could think of stretching more in this ear now is maybe this one. But there isn't too much room to go there either. So I honestly think that my stretching journey with what I have now anyway is just about over. And I am thinking about getting some nostril piercings. And just, I talked about in my last piercing vlog, how I had been stretching some nostrils, but all I had was rings at the time. And there wasn't as much like custom jewelry and stuff like that. Now I could keep them a little more reasonable looking. If I did do that, I'd probably want to go like 2 gauges or maybe a 0 and just have little plugs or little tunnels. But as far as my ears are concerned, I think I'm pretty well at the limit of my anatomy and my patience. And maybe more my patience than my anatomy, because at the end of the day, quality of life does matter too. And I can't be having ears that I can't live with. So anyway, I'll talk to you guys again. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and have a great day.